I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. Last week on the Rough Draft Diaries, we began the story of Clifford Murphy, a Toledo jazz icon. In the previous episode, we learned how Cliff fell in love with playing the bass, where he got his first professional gig, and how he began touring the States with his own band. They're called the Murphys. In this episode, we're starting by introducing a new character. Her name was Joan Russell, and she was Clifford's wife.
And she was a teacher originally. After she and I met, I convinced her to be the manager of the band, and we would travel on the road. She loved it, traveled all over everywhere, with the Murphys group.
Although they both loved traveling, by the mid-'80s it was time to return home, back to Toledo. The Murphys started playing at a club called Rusty's. It was a 2-week contract until the owner, who also managed a pub called Digby's, made the Murphys an offer that kept them in the city for the rest of their careers.
He'd come down and he saw the group and he said, I want this group, and gave us a 7-year contract. And we filled the contract for 7 years. After the 7 years was up, for some reason or another, he could get out of the business, So when he got out of the business, we bought the place, from him. Was in there 20 years, over 20 years.
Murphy's Place quickly became a Toledo favorite. It was beloved by musicians, by the patrons, and by the hosts. It's interesting to note, though, that Clifford was not exactly a fan of owning his own jazz cafe.
Not really. Well, in a way I did, but after being there 20 years, I said, oh, God, never again. I never realized there was so much, work in there and so much jealousy with the state, the government, and everybody, especially if you're making money, they figure out a ton of things to get money from you. Like we had to have a license for dancing. That's why we didn't have any dancing. Everybody just had their hands out, for a piece of the action.
Clifford's frustration in managing his own business meant that Joan, his wife, really ran the jazz cafe. It was a position that fit her extremely well. She was successful and always at ease. As she would tell Clifford, don't worry, you just play the bass.
I wanted to help out, be a manager, but she's taking care of that, taking care of the employees. The cooking, everything, until she got this stroke and died suddenly. And after she died, I didn't want to run the club at all. I wanted to just play the bass.
And that's still what Clifford wants to do. With Joan's passing, Murphy's Place closed in 2011. Clifford continued to perform, but only briefly. In October of 2015, Clifford's right leg was amputated below the knee due to a serious infection, one that Clifford believes came from an injury he received in the Korean War. A year later, that same infection was found in his left leg, which was also amputated below the knee. Living life as a double amputee was an adjustment, as Clifford moved from his home to a rehabilitation center. But Clifford is determined to walk again and to play his bass again. Throughout his surgeries, Clifford lost most of the mobility in his right hand, which of course picks the strings on a bass. For now, Clifford is remaining positive, looking to the future, surveying Toledo's up-and-coming jazz musicians, wondering who will continue Toledo's tradition of jazz.
There will always be a future for it. You find the right person to operate it. There are a lot that listen to jazz. As a matter of fact, at my birthday party, we hired Josh Silver, who plays piano now, and when he was coming down to Murphy's Place, he was going out to the art school and was playing trumpet, and very good trumpet. And now he's a very good pianist, and he sold his trumpet. And Jeff Halsey, the bass player, who teaches out at BG, young kid, played drums. They were great. They played at my party. And that's something we always done. We'll help the youngsters come up because we knew that they were going to replace us, sometime or another.
So Clifford is not worried when it comes to the future performers of jazz music, but he does have advice to help those future listeners of jazz.
Well, after you get over this rap, after you get over that and listen to that, the radio DJs got everybody hung up on the rap music, and after you get over that, telling what the younger generation is going to bring, but they're going to change it pretty soon. You watch and see.
For now, I'm Haley Taylor, and thanks for listening to this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries. Clifford's choices for the next episode of the Rough Draft Diaries include...
Well, my daughter Debbie, and Doug, my photographer, and above all, I think Tom, who wrote the article. He's a hell of a writer, from the Blade.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.